All right, so I want to do a video in regards to works versus faith, because I was just listening to a past sermon of mine called the fruit called righteousness is, or the fruit of righteousness is a delicious fruit. And so God had to bring this back to my recollection. It was it was a 4-hour sermon. Okay, and so I sat through it between last night and today, and I'm almost done. I got like maybe 5 more minutes left on it. And God renewed my faith and my strength by bringing this back up to me about the promise. Okay, Abraham believed God, and so it was credited as righteousness. Okay, it was credited as obedience. It was credited as love, because if you love God, then you actually obey him, you believe him, you do his word. Okay, and the promise is not based upon works, but it's simply based on you believing God. Okay, when you believe God, you do what he say, and that justifies you, love. And so for all this time, because remember, I'm in the second phase of the process, but this is for the inner man. The first process was for the soul. It was for the flesh. So you go through it twice, as I told you guys. Okay, but it's all perfecting. It's perfecting everything in you. Okay, because the soul and the spirit is married and becomes one spirit. Okay, in heaven. All right, so I just want to say that the promise is based upon faith. So I want to talk about my journey and kind of give a little testimony, because I was a workaholic. Those who are trying to achieve salvation, the enemy don't want me to get this out. All these calls. But those who are trying to achieve salvation and make it to heaven, and you trying to please God by works, you put yourself back under the law. Okay, because the promise is not based upon works, y'all. It's not based upon what I can do, how many things I've done for Christ. It's not based on that. And for so long, I had to learn this. I had this complex because I was a slave in the world before I came to Christ. So all I knew was work. I was a workaholic. I had 2 jobs. And then I worked for myself. And I was a massage therapist, so my work was labor. You know, I used my body and my hands and my feet and everything to work with. You know what I'm saying? And then I would work for myself. Once I got off from the 2 jobs, I would go and do my private clients. Sometimes I would have 12-hour days. Okay? I did that for 7 years. I did not have vacations. I didn't really have days off. I would go in on my days off due to a special request, or I would work, you know what I'm saying, for myself on my days off a lot of the times. And then I used to do tarot card readings on the side of that, and run a YouTube channel by putting out the monthly readings and all of that kind of stuff. So I was burnt out. I was a super duper slave for Satan. Okay? And so I had to learn how to rest. I had to learn how to not work. I had to learn how to sit down. I had to learn how to take a vacation. I had to learn how to sleep in. I had to learn how to let all the duties leave. Because for so long I found myself just cleaning up. I would be cleaning up. I would find something to do around the house. You know, and I went to God several times like, God, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to just sit down and believe you. You know, I gotta do something for you. What can I do next? What can I do next for you, God? How can I serve you today? And the same thing I was doing in this process. Homeless. I'm walking blocks, going to get stuff for the homeless, for the girl who needs stuff. You know, I'm giving her a mukbang. I'm in a grocery store shopping for her. You know, I'm doing all these things. And God let this stranger come to me the other night and talk to me. He said, you need to enter God's rest. He said, you just keep trying to do. You're walking over here, you're walking over there, you're walking over here, you're walking over there, you're walking over here, you're walking over there. He said, sit down. God, it's not of works. God say, stop doing. Because you believe me, you're gonna bear fruit for my glory. When God, it's not work. When God, because you believe God and you connected to God and you belong to God, you bear fruit for his glory. So he give me what to say. This video, he just gave me what to come on here and say. I didn't have to conjure up something to give to you. I didn't have to wreck my brain looking on the outside to try to come up with a sermon to preach to you or teach to you. God gives it to you. He gives seed to the sower. So there is no work. So all of those who are working, you are placing yourself back under the law and you are becoming a slave again. You will never please God this way, y'all. The only way you can please God is by faith. It's by believing him. It's by believing God. That's what gets you the promise. When you believe God, then you do what he says. You do the word. I gave up my life. I laid my life down. And he resurrected me in his spirit. So now I live for God. If I don't do nothing else, I've already demonstrated to God that I believe him. You understand? Now we must also endure, because endurance produces proven character, right? It's what's gonna save our soul and make us whole. It's what's gonna get us saved, right? But the promise is not of works, y'all. All the people out there working, they're lukewarm. They lukewarm. They don't love God because they don't really believe him. That's the only way you can please God, is by believing him, not by working. He didn't call you to be a slave, love. He freed you from Satan's kingdom, which is slavery. He says, live for me. And because you live for me, you're going to bear fruit. You're going to be fruitful and multiply. That's just a side effect of you living and believing me, says the Lord. All right? So come out of works, y'all. You will never please God this way. You can't work your way into heaven. You can't work your way to salvation. It doesn't work like that. It's only by faith. And so therefore, if you're working, you don't have a promise. The promise is not for you. It's only for the true believer. Be blessed.